For 4,380 days, a legal countdown has been ticking inside the Cruz household. On April 18, 2024, that clock finally hit zero. Suri Cruz is no longer a child protected by the courts. She is a legal adult with a lifetime of receipts. While the world was distracted by Tom Cruise partying in London for Victoria Beckham's birthday, his daughter was in New York, quietly dismantling the last link to her father. The first shot was fired not in a courtroom, but on a graduation stage. By dropping Cruz and debuting as Suri Noel, she didn't just change her name, she publicly erased the most famous surname in Hollywood from her identity. This isn't teenage rebellion, it's a declaration of war.
For 12 years, Katie Holmes' divorce settlement reportedly functioned like an iron dome, securing $400,000 a year in child support in exchange for absolute silence regarding Scientology. But that money has stopped, and so has the obligation to stay quiet. Tom may have kept his chaotic interviews and couch-jumping days in the past, but Suri lived through the aftermath. She holds the missing puzzle piece that explains why Katie fled the marriage in a burner phone-orchestrated escape. The industry knows that if Suri decides to write a memoir to pay her Carnegie Mellon tuition, no amount of stunt flying can save her father's meticulously curated reputation. The NDA is dead. The silence is broken. To understand the nightmare Tom faces today, we have to look at how this started. It wasn't a normal divorce. It was an escape mission. In June 2012, Katie Holmes did something impossible. She blindsided the most powerful actor in Hollywood. At the time, they looked like the industry's golden couple, but behind the red carpet smiles, Katie was reportedly terrified. She had a front-row seat to the inner workings of the organization Tom is devoted to, and she was haunted by a specific precedent, Nicole Kidman. Katie saw how Tom's adopted children, Bella and Connor, had become fully immersed in the church and estranged from their mother. She watched as they transformed from Kidman's children into what the church calls spiritual beings, effectively cutting ties with the parent deemed a suppressive person. Katie refused to let that happen to Suri. While Tom was thousands of miles away in Iceland filming the sci-fi thriller Oblivion, Katie initiated a plan that rivaled the plot of any Mission Impossible movie. She knew that if she used her regular phone, Tom's team could potentially track her communications, so she went off the grid. Katie used a disposable burner phone provided by a friend to orchestrate her exit. She secretly hired 3 different law firms in 3 different states, coordinating a legal blitzkrieg designed to prevent Tom from moving the case to California, where the courts might have been more lenient regarding joint custody. She caught him completely off guard. By the time Tom realized what was happening, Katie had already filed for sole custody in New York. The element of surprise was her only leverage. In just 11 days, they reached a settlement, a speed that is almost unheard of in high-stakes celebrity divorces. Katie got what she wanted, primary custody of Suri. But there was a catch. Reports and industry insiders suggest the settlement came with golden handcuffs. To secure her daughter's freedom, Katie reportedly agreed to a strict 5-year dating ban, forbidding her from publicly seeing anyone or bringing a boyfriend near Suri. That silence bought them peace. It allowed Suri to grow up outside the shadow of the church. But it also built an impenetrable wall between Tom and his daughter. For over a decade, that wall stood tall, maintained by contracts and lawyers. But as of this year, the contracts have expired, and the wall is about to crumble. The $400,000 ghost. The ink on the divorce papers hadn't even dried before Tom Cruise began to fade. For the last decade, one of the most photographed men on the planet has been a ghost in his own daughter's life. The last confirmed public sighting of Tom and Suri together was around 2013. Let the weight of that sink in. He hasn't just been busy, he has been completely absent. He missed every birthday, every school play, and every holiday. Most recently, when Suri graduated high school and publicly dropped Cruz from her name in the ceremony program, her father wasn't there cheering. He was photographed at a Taylor Swift concert in London. Instead of being a dad, he became a bank account. Court documents revealed the transactional nature of his parenting. He agreed to pay $400,000 a year in child support. Over the last decade, that totals nearly $5 million wired to a child he reportedly never sees. He covered the medical bills, the private education, and the insurance premiums. He followed the legal rules perfectly, but he broke the human ones. He provided the funds, but withheld the father. Critics and former insiders argue that he chose his ideological allegiance over his own flesh and blood. But this creates a baffling paradox that doesn't fit the man we see on screen. Tom Cruise is a fighter. We watch him battle studio heads to save movie theaters. We watch him risk his life dangling from helicopters and driving motorcycles off cliffs for the perfect stunt. He is a man of obsessive commitment who never gives up on a goal. So why didn't he fight to see Suri? Why did the man who can do the impossible surrender his relationship with his youngest child? The answer lies in a specific, terrifying policy. A rule that labels people like Katie, and by extension Suri, as something dangerous. They are branded as potential trouble sources to his spiritual eternity. But before we get into the dark mechanics of that rule, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like. It's free and really helps the channel grow. Oh, by the way, I will be posting more videos like this, so please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another deep dive from me. The barrier between father and daughter has a name: disconnection. This isn't just a breakup, it is a spiritual quarantine. In the ideology Tom adheres to, anyone who attacks the group or impedes its progress is labeled a suppressive person, or SP. When Katie Holmes blindsided Tom with divorce papers in 2012, she didn't just leave a marriage, she orchestrated a strategic extraction to ensure Suri would never be indoctrinated. In the eyes of the organization, that likely made Katie an enemy of the highest order. The rules of disconnection are absolute. A member cannot associate with an SP. If they do, they risk being declared an SP themselves, losing their own standing, their friends, and their spiritual eternity. Tom Cruise is the most famous face of this belief system. He cannot be seen fraternizing with the enemy, even if that enemy is the mother of his child. We have seen this play out before. When Nicole Kidman left Tom, their adopted children, Bella and Connor, stayed within the church. They were raised in the system and, according to reports, were taught to view their mother as a negative influence. They stayed in. Suri is the anomaly. She is the first child of a high-profile member to be raised entirely out. Living in New York City, Suri grew up in what Scientologists call the WOG world, the non-believers world. She wasn't audited, she was sent to Catholic school. She hasn't been shaped by the organization's teachings, but by the woman the organization likely fears most. This makes Suri a potential trouble source. She is now an adult who owes the organization nothing, no NDAs, no loyalty, and no fear. She knows exactly who her father is, but more importantly, she understands exactly why he isn't there. And for a secretive organization that relies on control, an uncontrolled witness with the last name Cruz is the most dangerous thing of all. Dropping the name. Suri has already fired the first shot, and she didn't need a lawyer to do it. She used a playbill. Recently, Suri performed in her high school's production of Head Over Heels. When the audience flipped through the cast list to find the lead, they didn't see Suri Cruz. They saw Suri Noel. She dropped her father's famous last name. She used her mother's middle name instead. This wasn't a typo. It was a headline. By erasing Cruz from her identity on stage, she sent a message louder than any tabloid interview. She is not defining herself by the man who pays the bills. She is defining herself by the woman who raised her. It is a public rejection of the Cruz brand. For a man obsessed with his public image, this hurts more than a box office flop. It proves that despite his hundreds of millions and global fame, he failed to secure the one thing money can't buy, his daughter's loyalty. Now Suri is leaving New York. She is heading to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, one of the most prestigious drama programs in the country. Tom will pay for the tuition, roughly $65,000 a year, because the 2012 divorce deal demands it. He covers the medical bills, the dental, the insurance, and the college fees. But that is where his influence ends.
He is essentially a bank account with a pulse. He has no say in what she studies, he has no say in who she dates, and he has absolutely no say in what she might eventually write in a memoir. The check clears, but the connection is dead. This brings us to the nightmare scenario. Tom Cruise has spent 40 years crafting a specific avatar, the Savior. He hangs off airplanes in Mission Impossible. He saves the free world in Top Gun. He is the ultimate protector. But Suri has the power to flip that script and cast the world's biggest hero as the ultimate villain, a father who chose an ideology over his own flesh and blood. While Katie Holmes' silence was likely purchased with an ironclad divorce settlement, Suri's voice is not for sale. She never signed the dotted line. Now that she is legally an adult, the protective seal on the Cruz family secrets has been broken. She is a witness who lived inside the bubble, saw the escape, and felt the decade of silence that followed. Publishing insiders estimate a memoir from her could command 8 figures, a cultural event that would eclipse any box office opening weekend. Documentarians would line up to capture the first time she speaks his name on camera. She wouldn't just be telling a story, she would be dismantling a legacy. For Tom, this is a threat that no crisis management team can fix. The child support payments that kept a financial tether between them have run their course. The leverage is gone. All that remains is a young woman with a sharp mind, a new life, and a story that could shatter the last great movie star myth forever. He can outrun missiles and outfly fighter jets, but he cannot outrun the truth.